Week 16 in the CFL, guys. NFL is here. College football is well underway, but we still have you covered with some Canadian football picks. Andrew and Bobby with you guys to give out picks on four games back in action this week. And Bobby, before I throw it over to you, I will say I am just happy the CFL has come to their senses this season and they're easing up on the Sunday games with the NFL being back. That's the way to do it. I know people love college football, but give us some Friday games, give us some Saturday games, and let the Sundays be for the NFL. So 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday. Double headers are always nice in the CFL, and they kind of get a break there on Sunday. I'm sure you agree with me on that, and I'm also sure you had a great weekend last weekend. How are you?
Pretty good. I know we always usually make time to torch the Red Blacks at the beginning of every show, whether we bet on them or not. I think we should take some time now to apparently we were the only people in the country who weren't shocked at what happened last weekend. It played out just as we expected. I know I bought back, like I got a early line on Montreal, but I doubled down on Calgary on the other side. Hamilton over the Red Blacks, I'll be at like a half unit. Turned out well for me, and unfortunately, I couldn't actually get down on the Argos at 5. But I know you had them over the lines as well. So good week for the dogs. Good week for people who take this seriously, and a bad week for the people that pretend to.
My favorite thing on my favorite thing in the CFL is when the experts or the analysts say, I'm so shocked that this happened. I can't believe it happened. It's like there's 9 teams in the league. You know, there's going to be things that are going to shock you. There's going to be flat spots. There's going to be spots that a team gets up for. It's hard to be shocked, Bobby, for certain things happening when there's 9 teams in the league. There's going to be times where Montreal loses. There's going to be times when BC loses. There's going to be times where Hamilton upsets certain teams. So, every week's a new week, and last week the dogs were barking. We're going to break down all 4 games this week, and hopefully we can find out to see if some dogs are barking once again this week in week 16. Guys, before we jump into the video, whether you're watching on X or if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, McGinnis Picks. It's the exact same name as my handle there on X or Twitter. It means a lot, trying to bump up those subscribers. So give us a subscribe on YouTube. I know most of you guys prefer watching on Twitter these days, but while you're there on Twitter, give Bobby a follow at Mr. Surrey Jack, and he's giving out all kinds of winners every single week. We've got Russell joining us live here. Russell, I know this isn't about CFL, but great call on Kirk Cousins over 1.5 touchdowns. Never in doubt, he says. Thank you. Yeah, that was like plus 150, and we needed the last-minute drive to hit that. So, Russell, thanks for watching my videos yesterday. We cashed that ticket on Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. What could go wrong in a primetime game when every single person in the world seemed to be on the favorite? But back to CFL, Bobby. Quarterback situation. You want to give us an update on that for this week?
I don't know if there's anything too... I don't think there's anything really questioned. Trey Ford going back in for Edmonton this week. And Calgary, like I think I've got it figured out, but I don't know. Based on Logan Bonner going in last week, you can never count on anything with Dave Dickinson, and I'd be pissed if I was a Stamps fan because he blew up that season last week and he didn't have to. If they won last week, they'd be in 3rd place. They'd have a tiebreaker with any other team other than the Riders, who they're going to play, I think, twice to round out the season. So I don't know. They gave up. They gave up too early, I think.
Very weird. Very weird. And you were very clear about how you felt about their backup quarterback situation. And
35th best quarterback in the league.
35th. Yeah. You know, we'll look at them this week, though. We'll see what the number is and see what you think about Calgary this week. But last week, with the number you were getting, it was kind of enticing. And that's pretty much the point spread range that they have the most success in. But let's jump into game number 1. Hamilton, Toronto. Last game of the rivalry, I do believe, for this season. Hamilton, they won in July. They won in September in this meeting. I don't think they're going to win this one. here. And here's the thing. This I just talked about how a team can look one way and then they can look the other way one week, right? And people were like, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe the Bombers lost. I can't believe this happened. I can't believe the Alouettes. It's the CFL. It does happen. I do think this game is important to Toronto. I do think Toronto snapped out of things last week and found their offense. I'm not worried about the travel spot because both teams have been doing a little bit of traveling themselves in this matchup in particular. If people out there can get the -6.5 and avoid the 7, I'm on the home team in this one, Bobby. I'm not sure what your pick is. Before we started the show, we didn't discuss too much here as far as the games. I'm laying it with the home team. I think this is one of those ones where if the number looks weird to you, you take the number that looks weird. And you've got a team that's lost outright the back-to-back games against this team, and yet they're -6.5. Give me the home team in this one.
Yeah, like the Ticats, we both liked them last week. The only thing holding us back was our restraint, knowing that the Red Blacks were involved. But honestly, it was never really in question. The Ticats have been on a pretty good run here, 3-0 ATS last 3 weeks. They should have been 3-0 straight up as underdogs, but they blew that game in Winnipeg. But I don't know. I enjoyed being on them last week. I wanted to be against them this week. I think this is the time to sell these Tiger Cats. Just a few weeks ago, we were saying the season's over for them. I think they might they're getting a touchdown, and I think they're overrated as a touchdown dog. I think Chad Kelly looked good last week. Brinkman, McManus coming back on the D line on the linebackers. Argos are trending up, and just as much as the Ticats are, I think. And unless they're going to spot Hamilton 20 points, which apparently they did it already. They've done it a couple times to them, but that was both on the road. Without those 20-point spots, like Hamilton almost lost both of those games to the Argos. So I like the Argos. I think the number around 7 is pretty good. I'll probably find a way to work this into a teaser now that the money line's over 300. There's some value there. I don't know. I don't mind where this line is. If I was going to lean anything, I'd take the Argos under the 7. But again, 7's not 7 in the CFL isn't 7 in the NFL. I'll probably work it into a teaser if I can with one of these others.
Yeah, good opportunity for a teaser, as you mentioned. The teaser versus moneyline parlay math definitely it gives the edge to the teaser in this opportunity with how hiked up that money line's gotten. 54 being the total was kind of interesting to me. If we're going to be contrarians on this show, which you and I have had success a lot of the time doing, part of me thinks the under could be a look. I'm not going to play side and total. I don't usually like doing that. But this is like the ultimate number here for these two teams. 54 is, you know what that 54 means? It means respect towards Hamilton, because I think that we already know what Toronto's capable of. I think it means that, they think Hamilton can contribute to the scoreboard here in this one. I think the under would be the move. I think in the CFL, I'm feeling a sneeze coming on here. It's bothering me. But I think in the CFL compared to the NFL, where you look at the highest totals over and the lowest totals under in the NFL, I think it's kind of the opposite sometimes in the CFL. Like some of these real low totals in the CFL find their way over, and some of these really high totals in the CFL are hard to go all the way over. It's hard to get 55 points, and I'd argue, Bobby, unless we see like 2 interceptions from from the Argos, or we see, a couple of INTs, that's kind of what seems to be pushing totals over. It's not really as much scoring in the CFL. It's usually like crappy fumbles, pick sixes, like fumble recoveries, kickoff returns. Like it's usually special teams or what. Am I on the right page here? Like, do you find that as well? The games that have all the points are usually the ones that are kind of a disaster.
Yeah, and even this last weekend, like I'll confess, I didn't watch any of these games live. I rewatched them, and it seemed like every minute or two there was a fumble, a interception, another fumble, maybe on the same play. That's old school CFL, the two turnovers on one play kind of move. But that's kind of what you need. Like I think Hamilton's going to have a little bit better success than BC did moving against Toronto. Their Hamilton's O line, well, anybody's O line is better than the Lions. So, but still, like, how do you get to 54? Toronto's defense is still good. They got a couple of good guys coming back here. So, again, like I got roasted on totals once. I'll never do it again. But if I was forced, I'd definitely think 54 is a lot of points, and I'd be leaning under on that.
All right, Saskatchewan and Calgary, the Stamps at home after a respectable performance, to say the least, last week. But here we are finding them in a price range and a point range that I always question if I want to get involved in here. I like when they're getting points, Bobby. They're the team that always hangs around. They're very rarely getting blown out in games. They keep it close. A lot of their point spread covers are when they were dogs, not favorites. Not that they've really been favorites that much this season. But when you're a +2.5 dog in the CFL, you're practically looking at pick'em here. I know that's going to sound kind of crazy because you'll tell me a lot of the games end, 2 or 3 points, but this is not the same +6 that we're used to seeing with Calgary when they cover point spreads. What do you think about this one? Saskatchewan, they've been up and down. They've had a lot of high hopes, but I feel like their actions haven't really matched their words all season long.
Yeah, like I said, if I cared about this team, if I was a Stamps fan, I'd be furious with Dave Dickinson basically quitting, ending the season last week with Logan Bonner. I don't think Jake Maier loses that game. Calgary's still got a decent team, great players like Bagleton, solid defense, and Jake Maier is like the prototypical average CFL quarterback. So they're not really playing like the season was over. Montreal, I think, is still the best team in the league, and Calgary should have won that game. Like, they had a doink from Paredes. They had a complete implosion. Like, these, I think there was a face mask and then some other stupid penalty took them 30 yards out of field goal range or just on the border. And Calgary's choked away a few of these games this year. So this isn't the first time. But we're not asking them to not choke. We're just asking them to cover 2.5. And I looked at the post-game interview. Dave Dickinson seemed to indicate that he was impressed with Maier. Probably still his job now that the season might not actually be over. They still have control of their season here. I don't know if he needed a full game on the sidelines, like Dickinson said, but hey, Dickinson's the coach, not me. But I like the 2.5 with Maier. Even if they put in Matthew Schultz, I think it's still a good number. Tommy Stevens, not so much. And if it's Logan Bonner, I'd apply for a refund on that bet. So this is a Calgary. I like Calgary, but only with Maier or Schultz. And they're playing the Riders. Nobody's better at not winning games they should than the Riders. And eventually, hey, like NFL took them 10, 15 years of learning analytics, things like that. Eventually, someone's going to look back at this Riders season and say, hey, they lost all these games. Like, they chose to lose these games by going for all these stupid little field goals instead of ending the games themselves. So I like that the Riders, if they do get ahead, they're going to make the bad decisions to keep Calgary in the game. I grabbed it at 3 last night, but even 2.5. 3 is an important number in the CFL. So kind of goes against what, like, me getting burned on this earlier in the year, but even 2.5 I like, or just sprinkle on the money line. Then you can get them still around 120, 130. Go with the Stamps on that, but I'm not going anywhere near the Riders. Their 7-game winless streak, no indication that it's going to be stopping anytime soon.
You don't feel like this is the ultimate buy low spot for them at all?
I think they've been trending low for a while, and they were way too high at the start. People were way too high on them. Who did they beat? Off the top of my head, I don't remember.
Hamilton twice.
I'm sure it wasn't. Yeah, they got Hamilton 2 out of the first 5 weeks or something. So there was 2 right off the bat.
Edmonton
got torched by everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Edmonton choked that game away to him too, right? So
yeah, Tommy here talking about Armstead signing. We'll see what they can do on
that's
the ground.
My buddy from Victoria. Was the last person to ever speak to him. Best back in the league, and he wasn't wrong. He's arguably one of the best backs in the league. So if he gets it together, I think he could be just as effective as Ouellette or Frankie Hickson has been for them.
Another interesting one here, Tommy. He's bringing the insider info for us. Hearing Mace lost it at practice today, screaming at his players, not sure what happened. Well, you know what, Bobby? I like the over in this game, actually. Both teams are 8-5 on the season to the over-under. And a lot of it for both of these teams has been second half scoring. So if you guys don't want to join me on the pregame, see if you can get a second half number. See if you can get a first half number. I don't have the numbers with me, but a lot of other people that I see that bet CFL and people that I've worked with, whether it's currently or in the past, they just constantly jump on these second half overs featuring Saskatchewan. Do they not know how to hold leads? Are they good at coming back? And I think about Calgary as well. How many dull games have they been involved in that have just picked up in the second half? I just got done saying to you that I don't know how convinced I can be about a 54 total, but this one at 51, I'm interested in it. I'm a Trevor Harris fan. I'm a fan of the quarterback room overall over there in Saskatchewan. I think it's decent, but I think that their defense, which I feel like over the last 5 years with this Saskatchewan team, they can never find a balance. It's either their defense is good, their offense is rough, or this game, their offense is good and their defense is rough. There seems to be nowhere in between. And this Calgary team, like I said, they love to hang around. They're a team that never really is getting blown out. And even when they win games, it's pretty tight. And I think that that's been a success for me with totals is close games. It takes two to tango. Sometimes in certain leagues, close games might mean settling for field goals or key stops. I think close games mean trading points. You know, shout out to Callie Stewart, Kelly in Vegas. She always says kicking's for losers. You know what? I think kicking, and especially in the CFL, can help you get over. I know you like when they go for it a lot, Bobby, but I do like field goals sometimes as an over better, because if they go for it and don't get it, then you get no points. So sometimes I'm fine with it. And even though Brett Lowther let me down a few times this season, he's still my guy. And Calgary's got a good kick team as well. So I'm going to go over in this one. Any thoughts? I know you're not going to bet the total. Any thoughts on that one?
I got thoughts on that kicking. Hey, kicking in the CFL is a bit different than the NFL because, like, CFL, you're spotting your opponent 40 yards. Like, if you're kicking... Even Dinwiddie did this over the weekend, and I thought he was one of the better guys, and apparently he isn't. Goes for a field goal on the 7-yard line. If you have third and short inside the 10, just go for it. Like he did 3 times against the Riders, and every time they held the Riders, they got the ball back, they got their field goal eventually a couple minutes later. But like if you're spotting them 30, 40 yards, and if you can stop a team from getting 2 first downs, then you're better just going for it on these short, anything inside the 10. They shouldn't be kicking these field goals. There's a time and place for them, but inside the 10 isn't when you're going to be giving it right back to them at the 40. Two first downs, and they're in field goal range or even worse for you. So
yeah,
NFL, I can understand. I think they're going a little over the top on that, going for it all the time, but that's what the numbers say. I guess I can't get my head around it, but CFL is easy. You're giving them 35 yards if you're kicking a field goal from the 5-yard line. Doesn't make any sense, and a couple people understand that.
A reminder, guys, we're live every single Tuesday. We've been pretty good all season long with being here on this Tuesday. Typically, it's about 2 o'clock Eastern time that we're going live. So join us live or check us out on X with the replay or on YouTube afterwards. We've got a handful of people watching on YouTube and Twitter right now. So as I said at the start of the show, do me a solid. If you're watching on Twitter, head over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. I think we've made you guys some money this season in the CFL. And when you're on Twitter, make sure you toss Bobby a follow at Mr. Surrey Jack. Let's keep this show on the road, though. Alouettes, Red Blacks. Bobby, this Red Blacks team, they're tough to predict. But here's the thing. Both the Red Blacks and the Alouettes are going to be highly motivated and unhappy heading into this game. I feel like I'm not allowed to use the expression sell high on the Red Blacks because I've used it in like 8 write-ups this season, and I've been wrong on all of them. But at this point in this matchup, Alouettes and Red Blacks, Ottawa has been a good home team. I cannot deny that. We take a look at some of these numbers on the year for Ottawa: 8-4-1, 8-5, 6-7. ATS at home 6-1. But is this a spot you want to go against them?
Uh, so I was on them earlier this year when I think end of June they played, and the game was over. Red Blacks had lost it like 5 minutes into the game. It was like 28-0. Um, I don't like again, like we don't need to go into the Red Blacks. I can't stand them. I can't stand being on them. Can't stand being against them. Uh, Hamilton was a nice one last week, but I'm not going to get overconfident. Montreal, I still think they're the best team in the league. Even when things don't go their way, they find a way to come back. They showed that in Calgary. Calgary kind of gave it to them, but I think they've had two, maybe three others this year where they've kind of fallen behind and not didn't panic. Our boy Cody Fajardo kept it under control, and now they're coming against this Ottawa team who they torched earlier in the year, who I think is still a fraudulent team. Um, Again, like I'm trying to stay away from these Red Blacks games. I think Montreal should be favored. I think the number should be 2.5. So right where it is right now, I'm not going anywhere near it, and I'll gladly watch a Red Blacks game from the sidelines because the Red Blacks have been the only thing stopping us from completely dominating the CFL this year.
I hear you. I hear you. I am happy that that's not the night game. Actually, maybe I should say I wish it was because I've got plans Saturday night, so I maybe I wish it was the night game. But yeah, I'm gonna pass on this one, Bobby. I might look at some player props. We'll do some videos on that later on in the week. The 6-1 ATS at home is what's really messing with my mind with Ottawa. And this is what happens with sports betting, though, is that everybody that doesn't bet on the Carolina Panthers in week 3, they're gonna cover after getting embarrassed in week 1 and 2. And that's just, if I hop off betting against this Ottawa team at home, they're 6-1 ATS. Watch them finish like 6-4 ATS at home on the season, and those are all the times that I don't go against them. I just love this Montreal team off a bad performance. That's kind of how I feel with them. I love them. I love backing this team to have a bounce back and to play a little bit different. And, if we look at some of their scores recently, Bobby, I think that they've been a team that has been able to bounce back. Like you look at even their game that they had against, where was it here? Toronto, I want to say, way back when. They put up a 30 piece against the Stamps the following week. But of course, the last one was they lose to the Lions, and then they just tied against the Stamps last week. So, the motivation's got to be at an all-time high for them. And so last week, I liked a lot of the underdogs. This week, when I look at this, I like a lot of the overs. I think this game could see some points a little bit here. Both these teams off some tough performances overall offensively, but I think that, I'm using the OddsShark website. I always use it for the ATS numbers. It shows the ATS numbers at home and on the road. It doesn't show me the home over-unders. I think I'll have some other websites I can look at after the show, but wouldn't be shocked to see points in that one. But I still lean towards the Montreal side, that's for sure. If you're talking about teasers,
look what
though,
happened. Look what happened with
Ottawa?
that total. No, I don't want anything to do with Ottawa. You're not going to talk me into Ottawa. There's other 2.5 home dogs that I'm much more comfortable with. But in terms of that over, look at what it had to happen for Montreal to put up. What did they put up? 16 points or something last week. They had 2 brutal fumbles in the first quarter. They had that block punt completely reversed on them. So a lot of things went wrong for the Owls, not just self-inflicted, but also strange intricacies of the game, I guess. So I wouldn't keep thinking that Montreal's an under team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it kind of helps that they've been slacking a little bit lately and that they're kind of going to have that that need that like we got to put up some points to win games. They're giving up more points as of late as well. As I talked about that win they had a handful of weeks ago where against Calgary, they still allowed 26 points in that one. So, all right, now here's the team that everyone's getting excited about over the last few weeks. Don't listen to the power rankings, but listen to our bets. The Elks. The Elks. I mean, it feels like every year in the CFL, there's teams that are absolutely horrible to start the year. Hey, Montreal wasn't even that good last year, and they ended up making a pretty big run and obviously winning it all. Not saying Edmonton will do the same thing, but they're a team that's certainly come together. And we talked about it earlier. I said NHL, NBA, even CFL, bet on the teams that fire their coach. It works, guys. It works, but it's continued to work for the Elks. But Bobby, one thing I've noticed, the odds makers have caught up to them. Even since the time that I checked the board this morning and saw 3, the number's down to 2 at DraftKings in this one. I'll say this and go to you. Isn't this the time of year that Winnipeg starts playing better? Isn't this a time of year that Winnipeg clicks into gear and says, all right, let's be the Winnipeg that we've been for the last 5-10 years? They're only laying 2 on the highway here. What do you think?
Yeah, and it's so let's start with these Elks. These the league has them second in their power rankings, like ridiculous stuff. They moved up a bunch of spots by not even playing last week. I don't think they played last week, but it's been a good summer. Like, hey, we've been on the Elks a few times. It's easy to take them when they're playing Logan Bonner. It's easy to take them when they're playing the Ticats. It's easy to take them when they're playing the Riders, getting 5-6 points. So I think we've had a pretty good handle on them. But you're right. I think everybody else is kind of caught up and maybe even overreacted. Maybe the CFL simulators got to their heads. They might actually believe that Edmonton is going to win 1 out of every 5 Grey Cups, apparently. So, and be a touchdown favorite over Montreal. Like, ridiculous stuff coming out of the league. And you can't take that kind of stuff seriously. But we haven't really overreacted, and honestly, I don't know if the books have overreacted either. And they seem, I think they're still a little slow to catch up, right? They've been high on the Bombers, just like we have. They've been lower on the Elks, just like we have. And I kind of think this number, I thought it would be closer to a pick, honestly. I think Edmonton does deserve some respect. I would prefer if MBT was starting this game, just because we know where he's at. Trey Ford coming back in, he's kind of unpredictable. He's 0-2 against the Bombers, but I look back in the Edmonton gave up 84 points in those 2 games. So I don't think Winnipeg's scoring 40 points this week. They've been, aside from their last game, I don't think they've really been close to it all year, right? Zach Collaros is still single-digit touchdowns. Oliveira, I don't even know if he's got a touchdown yet, right? So books have been high on the Bombers. Books have been low on the Elks. I think this is a spot where we could get some value on the Elks. I think it should be close to a pick. I got them getting 3, 2.5. I like Calgary a little better than I like Edmonton, but I like both of them. I'd still take them at 2.5. That's what my numbers say, at least. I don't like betting against Winnipeg. I haven't done that very often this year. But these are the ugly bets. And hey, I've been on the Elks with Taylor Cornelius. So I'd gladly be on the Elks with Trey Ford.
This might be the one game that we're head to head on. I haven't gotten to the window with it yet. I like Trey Ford. I like this Elks team, but I'm still not convinced that if you were to tell me, hey, Andrew, this game ended 13-10, I would tell you that I think Winnipeg won it. If you told me the game ended 32-27, you know what? Maybe I'll give the edge to Edmonton. And for that reason, I kind of think that the first part's going to happen. Obviously, I gave 2 extreme examples, 2 extreme score lines, but just for the reason of the defensive purposes and kind of how the Blue Bombers have found ways to win over their last 5 games. They're on a 5-0 streak right now. Let's not forget they had a nickname Lose-a-Peg for the first 8 games of the season. So all of a sudden they're Winnipeg again and winning 5 straight. This is a big game for Winnipeg, I think, and so we'll see what team shows up. Like, would you say that this is pretty much a pick if we're accounting for home field advantage?
I
Oh,
like. I
sorry.
think Winnipeg's
Actually,
the better
never
team.
mind. I had the wrong team at home.
Yeah, I think it's Winnipeg's easily the better team. It should be easy. Like again, like hey, I like the Elks, but I don't like them as much as everybody else. I still have them as seventh. They're better than Calgary. They're better than Hamilton. They haven't proven anything else to me yet. So again, like you're on teams, you're against teams. You find yourself in weird spots every week. You have to be willing to kind of be flexible with that. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't think the Elks are as good as everybody says, but I think there's some value on them at least this week.
And I guess I might as well say it, even though I said the lowest totals could go over because they're a lot lower, obviously. There's no real low total this week. I mean, they're all close to 50. I would say I would lean towards the under in this game. So whether I get to the side of the total, I would say I lean towards the under in this one. All right. Any more final thoughts on week 16?
No, yeah, no adjustment to the line for Chris Streveler being injured.
Yeah, yeah. The overreact. I mean, I feel bad for him. I actually do feel bad. That's tough. It sounds like it's going to be a long road to recovery if he comes back.
Yeah, and see if I was in charge, I texted you maybe 5 minutes before because I just tuned into the game and I saw him throwing a pass. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Shouldn't have been in there throwing a pass. So he's
Yep.
he's good at what he does, and he's not he's not a good passer. But hey, Jake Dolegala gets another life.
He's going to be in the CFL before I have until I have grandkids. That guy's going to be a career backup, just constantly floating around. What will I say? What am I going to say to end off the show here? You know what I will say? I was looking at it earlier. Toronto 8-1. Toronto 8-1 to win the Grey Cup is what I'm going to say. I think the number right there is good. That's kind of the same number that Montreal was last year to win the Grey Cup when Toronto was the big favorite. 9 teams in the league, guys. 9 teams in the league. You're going to give me a team with Chad Kelly and still a strong offense and a reputable team at 8-1 odds. How about BC? DraftKings loves your guys over there in BC at plus 320 with how they've been playing lately. They don't even know who their starting quarterback is, and yet they're plus 320. And of course, the Alouettes, they're lower than plus 200, plus 190 on DraftKings. Are you kidding me? When's the last time a team that was a heavy favorite like that really was an easy win in the Grey Cup? It doesn't happen. A 7-point favorite loss last year in the Grey Cup. 8-1. That's my last thought on the show here. Toronto Argos, guys, because if they get the job done, if guys near them don't get the job done, they're going to upgrade into these numbers in the CFL futures. Thanks for watching, guys. Follow us both on social media. You can see our tags right by us and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It means a whole lot. We'll see you guys next time on Coast to Coast.